It started with promise. Shedeur Sanders stepping under center for Cleveland, delivering a poised, sharp debut that signaled a new chapter. His college accolades weren't just hype, they translated. For once, the Browns had something to build on. But just months later, the storyline has shifted. Analysts are floating draft names. Coaches are giving non-committal answers. And instead of momentum, Sanders is battling for legitimacy he should have already earned. This isn't just a story about one player, it's a pattern repeating itself in real time.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The danger isn't just losing a quarterback, it's losing the opportunity to grow something real. Cleveland has cycled through talent for decades, always looking for the next answer while ignoring the one right in front of them. Sanders has the traits, the numbers, and the leadership to reshape that legacy. But only if the Browns finally choose development over distraction, and trust what they already have instead of chasing what they don't. The Cleveland Browns are on the verge of doing what they do best, blowing it. This time it's not about botched trades, draft day disasters, or another stadium meltdown. It's something far more Cleveland. The team is actively undermining a quarterback who's already shown he has the makings of a franchise cornerstone. That quarterback is Shedeur Sanders. And instead of supporting him, developing him, and publicly committing to his future, the Browns are reportedly lining up his replacement for the 2026 draft. Let's be clear, this isn't about performance. It's about perception. And what the Browns are signaling to Sanders, the locker room, and the fan base is loud, insulting, and wildly short-sighted. Because by every relevant measure, Shedeur Sanders has done his job. He came into the NFL with massive expectations. Not just because of who his father is, but because of the pressure that comes with trying to fix one of the most dysfunctional quarterback situations in modern football history. And what did he do? He delivered. From day one, Sanders brought poise, accuracy, and leadership. He didn't just look comfortable, he looked composed. His college resume already had scouts paying attention. Over 130 touchdowns and a 70% completion rate don't just happen. And his NFL debut proved that his college success wasn't a fluke. This is a quarterback who knows how to lead a team, who plays smart football, and who already carries himself like a veteran. That should have been enough for the Browns to rally behind him. But of course it wasn't. Instead of letting him build momentum and focusing the organization around his growth, the Browns are doing the opposite. There are leaks, draft rumors, buzz about 2026 quarterbacks. Analysts with influence, like Mary Kay, are putting out narratives that downplay Sanders' progress and suggest that a few starts aren't enough to make a judgment. And Kevin Stefanski? Not exactly rushing to shut down the noise. This is how development dies. You can't expect a young quarterback to flourish in a culture that refuses to back him. You can't talk about long-term success while constantly flirting with the idea of starting over. You can't claim you want stability at the most important position in football, then immediately undercut the one guy who's actually showing you signs of it. This is the Browns' identity problem in full display. They've convinced themselves that the next quarterback is always going to be the answer. So instead of building something real, they keep chasing hypotheticals. Instead of developing talent, they draft, doubt, and discard. And Shedeur Sanders is the latest name being dragged into that cycle. Let's not pretend this is about competition. That's the excuse teams use when they don't have the nerve to commit. The Browns don't have a better option. They don't even have a clear plan. What they have is fear. Fear of making the wrong choice. Fear of backing the wrong guy. Fear of staying the course when the flashier option is just a draft away. But here's the reality. If Cleveland moves on from Shedeur now, or even keeps playing this passive-aggressive game of maybe he's the guy, maybe he's not, they're going to lose him. Not just emotionally. Literally. Quarterbacks who feel disrespected don't stick around. And Shedeur Sanders, for all the professionalism he's shown, isn't going to tolerate being dangled like trade bait forever. He's too smart for that. Too accomplished. Too good. There are at least a dozen NFL franchises that would jump at the chance to build around a young quarterback with Sanders' combination of talent, mental toughness, and leadership. And if Cleveland can't recognize what they already have, then they don't deserve to keep him. This kind of mismanagement is nothing new for the Browns. They've been recycling quarterbacks for decades. Some with legitimate upside, others just unfortunate enough to land in a system that eats its young. Sanders, sadly, is now facing that same uphill battle. Not because of his performance, but because the organization simply refuses to learn. And that learning gap goes beyond the field. When your coach can't give your starting quarterback a straight answer about the future, that creates instability. When your front office leaks draft interest in new quarterbacks while your current one is still developing, that crushes confidence. And when media figures parrot the too soon to judge line over and over, it builds a narrative of uncertainty that doesn't just follow Sanders. It defines him whether he deserves it or not. The Browns claim they want to win, but their actions say something different. You don't win by treating your quarterback like a temp. You don't win by making every young player feel like they're on borrowed time. You win by building, slowly, intentionally, and consistently. And that's exactly what they're not doing. The 2026 draft isn't guaranteed to fix anything. In fact, based on early reports, that quarterback class isn't even considered elite. So not only is Cleveland flirting with a reset, they're flirting with a downgrade. They're turning away from a proven, developing quarterback to chase a maybe. That's not strategy. That's self-sabotage. And let's talk about fan reaction, because fans see through all of this. They've seen the instability. They've lived through the endless carousel of QBs. And they finally have someone worth getting behind. So when the organization starts acting like he's disposable, feels like a slap in the face. Not just to Sanders, but to everyone who bought into the idea that things might be different this time. And it could be different, if they let it. If the Browns would just stop overthinking. Stop undermining. Stop giving anonymous sources more power than the scoreboard. They have a quarterback with real franchise upside. He's not a finished product, but he's shown more than enough to deserve real investment. So why is it so hard for this team to just commit? That's the question fans are asking. That's the question Sanders' camp is absolutely asking. And that's the question Cleveland needs to answer before it's too late, again. Because this isn't just about one player. It's about whether the Browns will ever actually break their cycle of dysfunction. Whether they'll stop chasing the next thing and finally build around what they have. Whether they'll realize that if you keep pressing reset, you never get to see what could have been built in the first place. Sanders deserves better. The fanbase deserves better. And honestly, so does the franchise, if it's ever going to move forward. But moving forward requires a decision. Are the Browns ready to develop a quarterback the right way? Or are they going to fall into the same trap and lose yet another one? The answer's coming fast. And if the Browns don't make it, Shedeur might just make it for them. Let us know where you stand. Are the Browns blowing it again? Is Shedeur getting the respect and support he deserves? Or should he already be planning his way out of Cleveland? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like the video if you're tired of the Browns treating quarterbacks like disposable batteries. Share this with a Browns fan who's still holding on to hope. And hit subscribe for more breakdowns of every wild storyline, controversy, and front office meltdown in the NFL. Because this might not just be Cleveland's next mistake, it might be their biggest one yet. It's hard to overstate just how on brand this all is for the Cleveland Browns. A team that's been starving for a franchise quarterback for decades finally lands one who shows maturity, skill, and legitimate poise out the gate, and within months they're already eyeing the eject button. This isn't a rebuild. This isn't a reset. This is sabotage. And not accidental sabotage either. This is deliberate, thought out, executed through cautious coaching quotes, draft rumors leaked to insiders, and media narratives built on the idea that Shedeur Sanders still needs to prove himself, despite proving more in his first few games than some quarterbacks have shown in 2 or 3 full seasons. At this point, you have to wonder what the bar actually is in Cleveland. If throwing accurately, leading with composure, and displaying leadership on and off the field still isn't enough to earn long-term investment, what will be? What exactly are they waiting for? A perfect season? An MVP trophy? A 17-0 regular season campaign before they finally stop flirting with the idea of replacing him? It's delusional. And it's insulting, not just to Sanders but to the entire fanbase that's been forced to endure years of chaos under center. This fanbase knows what it's like to sit through the Cody Kesslers, the Brandon Whedons, the Johnny Manziels. They've been told to believe, over and over, only to watch the team hit reset every time things didn't click immediately. Now they have a guy worth sticking with, and the organization still can't stop glancing at the next option. You can feel the frustration boiling over. Online forums are filled with fans demanding the Browns give Shedeur the respect and stability he's earned. And the term disrespect isn't being thrown around lightly here. That's the word fans are using because that's what this feels like. Not criticism. Not healthy skepticism. Disrespect. Let's go back to what got us here. Shedeur Sanders came into the NFL with an elite college resume. More than 130 touchdowns. A 70% completion rate. Clear evidence of processing ability, pocket poise, and a calm, professional demeanor. He played in pressure-filled environments. He led. He delivered. And when he got to the NFL, he didn't look overwhelmed. He didn't look raw. He didn't need to be babied through a rebuild. He looked ready. So why on earth is this even a debate? Because Cleveland doesn't know how to trust what's in front of them. Because instead of seeing what they've got and nurturing it, they're conditioned to believe there's always something better just over the horizon. And that's not just a Browns problem, it's a league problem. It's the shiny new toy syndrome that has infected front offices from top to bottom. But in Cleveland it's worse. Because here it's not just about chasing upside. It's about avoiding accountability. If you never commit to a quarterback, you never have to admit that you failed to develop one. You can just say the guy didn't have it, and move on to the next prospect. But what happens when you keep doing that? You never build continuity. You never build trust. You never give the locker room something stable to rally around. And the cycle continues. That's exactly what we're watching unfold again with Sanders. The coach doesn't say he's the guy. The GM doesn't say it either. Instead we get silence. Or worse, doublespeak. And in that vacuum of clarity the rumors thrive. The he's just a bridge takes. The he's not a long-term answer pieces. The whispers about 2026 college QBs that haven't even played a full season yet. All of it adds up to a message that's crystal clear. Cleveland isn't ready to commit. And Sanders hears that. Of course he does. He might be quiet about it publicly, but you don't think a quarterback with his pedigree, his confidence, and his family background doesn't know how this business works? You don't think he's paying attention to the way Stefanski keeps ducking questions about his future? To the way local reporters frame his performances like they're just tryouts? This is how you push a young star out the door. One passive-aggressive quote at a time. And if you think it can't happen, look around. We've seen it before. Quarterbacks with real potential get thrown into unstable environments, get blamed for a team's broader dysfunction, and then end up succeeding somewhere else while the original franchise is left wondering what went wrong. That's the exact trajectory Sanders is headed toward, unless the Browns stop the nonsense and actually get behind him. That means Stefanski stepping up and saying he's the guy. That means the front office putting their draft chatter on mute and investing in this quarterback. That means setting the tone, not just for the locker room but for the entire city, that this is the future of the team. Because if they don't, if they keep waffling, keep hedging, keep waiting to be convinced, then don't be shocked when Shedeur walks. And when he does, it won't be with bitterness. It'll be with purpose. Because someone else will believe in him. Someone else will have a staff ready to develop him. Someone else will understand what it means to have a high IQ, poised, accurate, dual-threat quarterback who wants to lead. And the Browns? They'll be right back where they started. Drafting another kid, hyping him up, and hoping that this time it finally clicks. They don't need hope. They need clarity. And right now they have a quarterback who's shown he can be the answer, if they let him. So what exactly are they waiting for? Because every day they hesitate, every rumor they let circulate, every non-answer from the podium, it all chips away at something bigger. Not just Sanders' confidence but the team's ability to grow. Because you can't grow around instability. And you can't build chemistry with a quarterback who the organization clearly sees as temporary. It doesn't matter how many throws he completes. It doesn't matter how many fourth quarters he leads. If the team isn't behind him, it shows. And eventually, that disconnect becomes impossible to ignore. That's where this is heading. Collection. Unless Cleveland makes a choice. And fast. So what's it going to be? Another high-potential quarterback thrown into the flames of doubt and media skepticism? Or a real, concerted effort to finally build a foundation around a guy who's already proven he deserves it? The Browns have a rare opportunity here. They can change the narrative. They can become the team that finally gets it right. But that requires a level of belief they haven't shown in decades. If they can't find it now, with Shedeur Sanders already delivering, they never will. At this point, the story isn't just about Shedeur Sanders anymore. It's about the identity of the Cleveland Browns. Because this moment, right now, is a defining one. And if you've followed this franchise for any length of time, you know how many defining moments they've had, only to fumble them into oblivion. What's happening with Shedeur isn't just a controversy. It's a fork in the road. And it's all happening in real time, in plain sight, with a fan base that's far too familiar with disappointment to pretend this is anything new. The franchise has a quarterback. A good one. A smart one. A quarterback who's already proven he can be the face of a team, the leader in a huddle, the one who takes the heat when things go sideways and stays composed when the pressure spikes. He's everything you're supposed to want in a young quarterback. And what does he get in return? Doubt. Disrespect. Radio silence. The Browns are acting like Sanders hasn't done enough to earn their full support, as if he hasn't already over-delivered for a rookie. As if his strong NFL debut and leadership traits are somehow not enough because he hasn't thrown for 5,000 yards in year one. It's absurd. Let's stop acting like Shedeur is some mid-round flyer who stumbled into the QB1 spot. He earned it. He showed up prepared. He translated his dominant college game to the pro level faster than most expected. And instead of being met with an organization eager to invest in his development, he's stuck answering questions about whether he'll still have a job in 2026. This is how talent gets wasted. There's a reason people say, the most Cleveland thing ever, with a mix of dread and sarcasm. It's because no other team so consistently finds a way to ruin promising talent the way this franchise does. They don't just lose. They choose chaos. And right now, choosing chaos means flirting with the idea of replacing a quarterback who's already given you every reason to believe in him. It's like clockwork. A young QB flashes potential, the Browns stay lukewarm, and then the next draft becomes more appealing than the guy already in the building. We've watched it happen before. And the warning signs are glowing red again. Let's talk about Kevin Stefanski for a second. A head coach is supposed to set the tone. If your coach can't even commit to backing your starting quarterback publicly, what does that say to the rest of the team? To the media? To the quarterback himself? Stefanski's vague, cautious language does more harm than good. We're evaluating. We'll see. It's a week-to-week league. That kind of non-committal energy kills momentum. It poisons locker rooms. And for a player like Sanders who thrives on preparation, maturity, and accountability, it's a slap in the face. You can't ask a quarterback to lead if you don't give him something to lead. And let's not forget the media's role in all this. Analysts like Mary Kay might think they're being pragmatic when they question whether Sanders has shown enough. But let's be honest, those takes carry weight. When seasoned reporters downplay a quarterback's progress, it gives cover to the front office. It lets the organization off the hook for not committing. It normalizes indecision. But here's the truth. Indecision is a decision. And right now it's the one dragging this franchise down. This isn't about asking Cleveland to lock themselves into a 10-year contract with Sanders tomorrow. It's about asking them to stop acting like he hasn't earned their trust. Because if they keep hesitating, they're going to push him away. And once he's gone, that's it. You don't get second chances with quarterbacks like this. You can already feel it starting. The shift. The energy. The fan base sees it coming and they're bracing for impact. Because if Shedeur walks, it'll be the same old story. The Browns will try to sell hope again. They'll draft someone new. They'll talk about upside, and tools, and system fits. And by week 6 of that rookie season, the cycle will restart. It's exhausting. For the fans, for the players, and now for Sanders himself. What more does he need to do? What else could he possibly have shown by now to prove he deserves real investment from this team? He's already given them a glimpse of what stability could look like. For the first time in a long time, the offense looked like it had an identity. Not just in terms of play calling, but in terms of demeanor, leadership, direction. That matters. And the Browns are about to toss it in the trash for a shot at some theoretical upgrade from a college class that isn't even elite. What are we doing here? This isn't team building. It's team sabotage. And it's playing out in front of everyone who has stuck with this franchise through all the false starts, bad trades, and wasted talent. You don't develop a quarterback by dangling his job in front of him. You don't build a team by injecting panic into every conversation about the future. And you definitely don't inspire loyalty by treating your most promising player like he's expendable. If Sanders were to demand a trade tomorrow, could you really blame him? If he left, found a franchise that actually values long-term development, and turned into a Pro Bowl quarterback, would anyone be shocked? No. They'd be frustrated. They'd be sad. But surprised? Not at all. Because this is the Browns' pattern. And unless they do something to break it, right now they're going to repeat it again. And again. And again. It's not too late, but it's getting close. The Browns need to pick a lane. Either they trust the quarterback they have, or they admit they're still searching for someone they can believe in. But if they go with option 2, they better be prepared to deal with the fallout. Not just the departure of Shedeur Sanders, but the collapse of the fan goodwill they've somehow managed to rebuild over the last few seasons. And good luck convincing anyone to believe in the next guy when you couldn't even back the one who earned it. Let us know what you think. Have the Browns already made up their mind, or is there still time to fix this? Should Shedeur stay and tough it out, or is it time for him to look for a team that actually knows how to develop a quarterback? Drop your take in the comments. Like the video if you're sick of the Browns recycling quarterbacks like bad Wi-Fi routers. Share it with every fan who still remembers the hype around the last guy. And hit subscribe so you don't miss the next time a front office manages to step on a rake in front of the entire NFL. Because this saga isn't just about one player. It's about whether this franchise will ever stop making the same mistakes, and whether this time for once they'll finally get it right.